West Easton Borough Council meeting comes to order. I'll pledge allegiance to the flag led by Mr. Mayor. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. DePaul.
Here.
Mr. Henry Donnelly. Mr. Dees.
Here.
Mr. Thomas Donnelly. Mr. Lewis. Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. Moran.
Here. You have four. Approval of checks 15990 through 16017 from the general fund account and checks 2036 from the sewer fund account. We'll have a motion for the general fund account.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
No, sir.
Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Approval of check 2036 from the sewer fund account. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that one check? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of depository receipts from July 2007. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah, sales zoning code books, which is an odd one. Who bought those?
That was two people the same day.
Yeah.
Do we know who they were?
I'm drawing a blank.
One was the attorney for Tia, we believe, and I'm not sure who the other person was. They came in that they're just taking a zoning class, and they asked for a zoning book.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of minutes from July 2010 to 17, and council meeting of July 24, 2017. Do I have a motion for July 10, 2017?
A motion to accept
Approve
minutes
the,
as presented. July 10th.
July 10, that's what I said.
Yes.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Or correction? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of the minutes for July 24, 2017. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay.
Any discussion on July 24?
Page 5. Fifth paragraph. I thought I gave a example of a gazebo, but Joan, did say that it could be used for parties or picnics.
For the grant,
Yeah.
that's what he said, yes.
He made the suggestion.
Was it safe or something? I don't know.
Said you did.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, thank you.
That'll be corrected. Anything else? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of treasurer's report, July 2017.
A motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll second.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? Or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public comment? Anybody? Take a microphone.
I've been talking to a bunch of people in town over the last 2 months about the proposed police department, and I haven't found anybody who is in favor of it. But more importantly, people want to know why there haven't been town halls, notifications, newsletters, website notifications, and so on and so forth.
I understand that you have a petition, you have a petition.
I didn't have enough time to circulate. There is one around.
Right here.
I think you have it. But I wanted to know why there were no notifications to this big change in the borough that most people think is not necessary, too expensive, and nothing, there were no notifications to anybody about it. That's what I've heard the most.
Well, you have to go back into history. Since the Wilson Police took over protecting West Easton with police service back in 1966, we always had third-party service and contract. And the last time we had a police force, whether it be Easton or Wilson, we were paying $158,000 a year back in 2013. So, at 2013, when Easton ended the contract, the people that sat on council then raised the millage 2.2 mils in addition to the 158,000.
I'm just asking why the public wasn't notified. I'm aware of what the last contract cost was, but I'm also aware of the cost of starting one from scratch, including all of the equipment, not to mention the insurance and the salaries. And most people think, given the low level of non-serious crimes in the borough, that this would be an enormous investment.
No one in the borough right now is enforcing moving violations. That's the big thing. No one's coming around to the parks after dark and seeing that when the parks close at dusk that people aren't in there. We just had an incident with someone in West Easton that caught someone stealing his merchandise out of his backyard, and it took the state police 2 hours to get there. If everybody's satisfied with that, I'd like to see the petition.
Well, I'll tell you what, state police ain't doing too bad of a job, because I'll tell you what, up and by my house, I see them quite a bit. And they were there called to a couple times to a neighbor's house, and they show up. Now, granted, they're not gonna show up every time if there's a bad accident now on 2278, that's their first response. It's like anything else. But when the state police did come, they had Easton as backup, came right behind them when they had a dispute up there with a neighbor. Now listen, it's one thing to start a police force, but I'll tell you what, the mayor, Louis, and me, we tried it. And the insurance rates were out of this world for them. All right? Don't say you ain't going to raise taxes. You're going to raise taxes. That should be up to the residents. It should be a town hall meeting explaining to them what it is, a 5-year plan, what it's going to cost you. Not turn around and just shoot off the hips. And that's what we tried to do then. And we found out it kicked us right in the ass because the insurance was too high. What did Calvin Siegfried tell you and Henry? He said, Wilson, that 250 sounds like a good idea. He says, with all the extra liability in that, we wouldn't have to pick the liability up, that's why they cover it. One thing's a start. One thing, you should have all the residents involved in it, make sure they all want it. Here's the list, and this is only a quarter of it, and there's 60-some names on it.
You want to copy that, Joe?
Yeah, copy them and pass them out to everybody.
And how much is the insurance going to cost now?
What's that?
Insurance, how much is it going to cost?
For the insurance?
Yeah.
I forget then, it should be on record. The mayor should know more about it, he saw it there.
You're telling everyone it's going to cost more.
What's that?
You're telling everyone it's going to cost.
What is it going to cost you right now? What is it for liability in that?
We had a conversation with Academy and Stockton.
Well, I talked to our insurance. No, did you go for full-time or
No.
part-time?
Part-time. But now, give me this. Stockton Town doesn't have liability, if I ain't mistaken, when I was talking to one gentleman up there.
When I asked our insurance, they said it'd be about $2,600 a year.
For police insurance, in case they would shoot somebody?
Three part-time.
Liability? Or does it fall back on the residents?
I won't tell you what they said, Tom.
Yeah.
You're saying that everyone you talk to doesn't want it. I can tell you since I've been here, I can't tell you how many people said they do want it. I'm also getting complaints about people who can't walk their dog, can't go for walks, can't walk in their front yard because people are pressuring them to say they don't want police when they do want it.
Well, I still say you should have a town hall meeting on it.
I still say you ought to put on the ballot and have me, but all the citizens in West Virginia for it.
That's these people's future, their taxes. Their taxes are gonna go up.
We did a pretty thorough study, and with what Academy does in Stockton, we are going to come way under $250,000 a year. Even workman's compensation, you remember what that figure was, Joe?
No.
Was that 6,700? But that was for four part-time people. And you might only use 3. Oh, it's for 5 part-time people. You might only use 3. But you gotta remember, Tom, you're the one that went out and bought police cars before you put the...
Well, we thought we were gonna be able to afford it until we got done with Brown and Brown, all right, the hard lawn. All that insurance all comes up, you gotta be covered. You get a guy like Kubo comes down, one of these cops would turn around, or anybody. We get called into court, Kubo walked out of there with a little over $2.5 million. All right, he was saying that he was harassed. And there's lawyers out there who eat that case up like it's nothing. No, I don't think these guys have all your figures and what it's going to come down to in the long run.
Well, I just wanted to add one more thing. I spoke to Stockton a couple of months ago about how they afford their police department. They have fewer residents than we do, a slightly higher tax rate, and they their police department hands out 100 tickets a month on average, traffic, because they have the Route 33 interchange from, I guess, 33 in Stockton, and they get a lot of the truck traffic. So they are offset by all of that ticket revenue, and some of it is big revenue from the tractor trailers. I'm also aware that they spend about $7,000 or $8,000 a year in legal fees. They don't have the kind of staff that we have here in the borough, in the office. And they said when the police department decided to unionize, they actually disbanded the police department because of the union demands. And once they disbanded the police department because of the union demands, the police there voted out the union. So do you have a plan for, I know you say that, Stockton does it so we can do it, but we don't have the traffic here to hand out 100 tickets a month. We don't have Route 33. And if unions get in here and make demands, then see, we're all gonna be on the hook for this. And I think they said their insurance was $30,000 a year, I think. Because I documented it, and I did email it to everybody except Pete. I don't have your email, Peter. But everything that I found out was documented, and it doesn't really look to me like we're really that similar to Stockertown to be making a case for a police department from the bottom up and the ground up, because Stockertown does it for a couple $100,000 a year. I'm not
Town
seeing
does it for $146,000 a year.
for 146.
140, I just got their budget for this
Right.
year. 140.
Yeah.
If you want to stretch things out a little bit, that's fine. But I have the figures.
Well, I'm not saying, I mean, we have a lot of gangbangers who come up and down Ridge Street all the time, loud. I mean, I'm trying to look for the good in the police department. Okay, I'm waking up almost every night because of loud cars and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that it's this horrendous idea. I'm just asking how we're even remotely similar to Stockertown when we can't do 100 tickets a month here.
Well, we're not going to have 4, 5, and 6 officers either.
Well, what's going to happen then
You
with the state?
you got to compare apples and oranges. You know, that's what you're comparing. You want to compare apples to apples? We're going to have maybe 3.
Okay, but when the state starts charging for state police coverage, we could be on the hook for state police coverage and our own budget.
No, you didn't read the legislation. If you have your own part-time police department, you're not going to get charged. If you have a population under a certain amount, you're not going to get charged. You got to get your facts straight.
Where did you hear that from?
I didn't hear it, I read it. Open up the state. Go to our bills.
I read that the state is trying to fill a $2 billion budget gap, and they're doing anything that they
Yeah,
can.
they already changed, they dropped the population from 10,000 residents to 4,000. And we're less than 4,000, so we're not going to get charged anyway.
Well, I hope that's true. You know, I really hope that's true, but I saw the spending from last year, and I saw what used to be a very conservative council robbed $250,000 out of surplus last year and another $50,000 this year, and I just don't see the fiscal restraint that would be needed to put together a police department, buy everything.
First of all,
and fund it.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I got to take offense to that remark. If anybody wants to come up here, we never robbed anything. We're fixing the streets. We had the money. I explained it on the board. Liquid fuel tax we used, and a little bit of tax money.
Right, it was a
If
quarter of a
anybody
million.
wants to come up here and see our budget, we passed it. You can see it right now.
It was a quarter of $1 million.
I'll take a 5-minute recess and you can come up and look at our budget right now.
It was a
Anybody
quarter.
that wants to, here it is.
It was a $250,000 that had rolled into surplus. I'm not saying you used it illegally.
You said we robbed it. Come on, what's
It's
your
a
language
figure
here?
of speech. I'm not saying you used it illegally. It rolled into surplus and it was taken out without being budgeted for because people come in here and they look for any reason to spend money at the drop of a hat. And I don't want to see my taxes have to go up in exorbitant amounts because West Easton
What
wants
taxes
to.
do you pay, Tricia?
What taxes do I pay?
Yes.
I don't think it's anybody's business what my tax assessment is. It's public if anybody wants to look at it.
Well, we're going to hold the whole taxes for a very long time with the police department part-time. They budgeted 2.2 mils and no one came in 2013 but me to say, why are we raising our taxes 2.2 mils? To start our full-time police department. We already have 2 cars. We already cleaned out the garage and we're going to build a jail.
No, we didn't say we were cleaning the garage out and building the jail. Don't get carried away.
At any rate,
Well,
I'm going to
we
sit
got
down.
a borough worker here. Dave, would you give an orders from the office to clean out the garage?
Absolutely.
And build a
Now,
jail?
Dang, don't even, you should be the worst person to open your mouth. All right? You are. And I don't know, I'm waiting till I'm out in December, because I'll be down here at every meeting. But I'll tell you thing. These people, before you even think about starting, you better ask these residents, get a town hall meeting and get their opinion. Don't say you had one.
We had a town hall
These
meeting.
people just realize what you're doing.
We had a town hall meeting when you raised the millage 2.2
Yeah.
for 2 years, and they didn't give it back, so I pressured them to give it back after 2 years. And you got nothing for it but a computer system that was a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And there's our office workers that work in the office and work with the system that was useless.
All right, can I just, one last thing, do you have a 5-year or a 3-year financial projection in place for what all of this is going to cost before you go head first into an abyss of expenses without knowing what you're really?
The finance committee is working on a budget, and they have a line item for the police department for next year. The $158,000.
One line item for, I mean, is there a cost?
There's a line item itemized under that line item. That's my answer.
Okay, what I'm trying to figure out, is it going to be broken up with research-based facts, costs of insurance, cost of cars, cost of uniforms, cost of firearms, cost of salaries, cost of benefits, a real detailed
There's no
financial?
benefits, they're part-time.
Well, I'm asking if you even know what the cost is.
Yeah, we know it because we sat down with Chief Palmer in Palmer Township, we sat down with John, the Chief of Police in Stockertown, and we looked at what wanted to be spent here in the past years and what hasn't been spent since 2014, and the money is in the budget to have a fine part-time police department with the opportunity, because they're going to be first responders and they're a police department, to get grants.
Right, well, where is the police department going to be? Are you gonna build one?
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. We're working on it right now, and things look promising.
Are you going to have a holding cell? A station? I mean,
Yes, we're going to have a station.
is there going to be, you know, I know a state police vehicle costs about $85,000. That's a state police vehicle, but
With the community that's 4 blocks by 10 blocks, I don't think we need an interceptor for $85,000 to chase down a burglar that almost ran over somebody because he waited 2 hours for the police to come, and he was holding them there, but nobody showed up. Is that what you want?
well, I'm a little bit disturbed because it just doesn't, it sounds like you're going into this head first with no real plan, and I just don't think it's fair.
They went into the head tax when they raised your millage 2.2 for 2 years and you got nothing. Yes.
Yeah,
Can you go to the microphone, please?
State who you are. You don't have to leave that. You live in West Easton, right? We don't want addresses.
I live in West Easton.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just curious, since you probably already knew that this was going to be a subject of conversation. You probably already knew that this was going to be a subject of conversation, I suspect.
Who is it?
What was your name again?
I'm sorry, I didn't mention it. Roger Christian.
Okay. Roger, go ahead.
All right, but anyway, is there a necessity of having a quick overview of what the proposal for the officers are? Like how many, is it part-time? So far, we've got the information as part-time.
Part-time chief, 1 or 2 part-time officers. We budgeted $150,000 this year. We only spend $1,000 at most for an ordinance from a legal point of view. That money can be rolled over to next year. And you got to remember now, for years and years and years, you were paying $145,000, $148,000, $150,000, $158,000, and it hasn't cost anything for several years now. And that money is available under the watchful eye of our office here and the council here, that we have money to do this the right way and economically too.
Do you have a proposal that like alternative means of transportation, like you said you have a car already, but you don't need a battle cruiser, obviously, but other departments have like bicycles and they have motorcycles and things like that. It's cheaper than our.
Just so people know, I get emails from Chief Palmer and Palmer Township.
Right.
And there's police departments that upgrade their vehicles with no mileage. You can get a police vehicle fully equipped for the size of this borough. It's even too much,
Right.
the way these cars are today,
Right.
for $10,000, $11,000, $12,000. What we have now are police cars. What was purchased years ago.
You can buy a smart car for the places.
There's a bicycle.
Besides the point of a small car, you need this.
Well, the problem with the vehicles that were purchased for police vehicles, people that are tall or back seats aren't there, they're just used for municipality use. All right?
I just want to take an overview of what is proposed and what you're already.
Well, we're proposing $150,000 a year plus the money that we didn't spend this year. So, you know, and we got an itemized list under the police line item that we're working on. And the finance committee is meeting now to do that.
And obviously, so right now you don't have exactly all the payments, but when you are, then you notify the citizenry that.
Yeah, we've been having meetings in 19, in 20, I keep saying 19. In 2016, we've been having 3 meetings, 3 meetings in January of 2016, but we've been having only 2 meetings a month. And like I said, when your taxes got raised, I came down here in December of 2013, there was, what, 4 people here? Where were you then?
Well, I think what they're doing, they're coming down because it's gonna affect their future. Not, we got money to pay them 2 years, then what happens in 3rd year? Oh, we gotta scrape up money, start paying for a police force, keeps getting bigger. Hey, academy up there, all the truckers stay off of it now because it's nothing but a goddamn stop for the academy police. All right, they put on the average of 3 to 4 trucks a day.
You gotta swear.
What's that?
You have to swear. I'm sorry, you have to swear.
Academy.
I said, do you have to swear?
You have to curse.
Curse.
He's asking you if you have, do you have to curse?
Do I have the courage?
Curse!
Curse.
You're
Watch your
cursing,
language.
you're cursing, he's asking you to stop.
Maybe it's once in a while, I get no good down here.
We're not next to an interstate, we're not next to an exit off of Route 33. We do get traffic out the I-5. Wilson Borough gave us the opportunity to pay them $250,000 a year, then compound 5% every year on top of that. And that's a little bit steep. And we can do it guaranteed less than $250,000 a year, plus 5% next year on top of that, plus 5%. What did that come up to, Bob, after 4 or 5 years?
In a decade, we'd be broke, unless we raise the mill with it.
So we don't, you know what, I have nothing, Wilson is a neighboring friend and we cooperate with them, but it's a little bit too much. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Steve Claver, I do live in West Easton. Must have been about 20-something years ago, we were having a similar discussion about this, the police department, block watch. Maybe some of you were here, some of you may or may not remember. But I was thrashed and tarred and feathered for coming up with this idea. Wasn't accepted 20-something years ago, maybe it'd be worth considering, at least if nothing else, a money-saving proposition. But when I used to work for the Star Ledger in Newark, there was a North Ward up there. Anthony Imperiali was a senator from that section. He used to have that North Ward covered by citizen volunteers, just eyes and ears. They were radio equipped, now we have cell phones, you don't need radios. They would see something, they would call it in. Didn't cost a dime except for maybe gas for people riding around. We don't have a lot of territory, probably don't need too many people. So I thought I'd raise that question again, if that's a viable alternative to police, insurance, liability, money, etc. Also, I have a sort of a sidebar question for Mr. Grisouzian. Does anybody know where, if a town does get sued for wrongful shooting, arrest, or whatever by a police force that we have, if that ends up being something the residents pay for? Does anybody have any documentation or history if in fact these lawsuits are passed off to the residents of the town, or is it something that insurance takes care of and just goes away and is absorbed to some other?
Municipalities purchase insurance.
I'm sorry?
They purchase insurance for that.
Okay, so if we're sued, we don't have to necessarily be concerned about liability and everybody's taxes going up, $500 a year because we got sued by somebody wrongful or whatever, right?
It's a complicated question, but generally you get insurance, just like you have insurance in your home or you have insurance in your car or so on. There's always times where your insurance rates go up. For example, if you get sued a whole series of times, you get into 8 car accidents, all of a sudden it gets a lot harder to get car insurance.
Right.
It's the same concept
Right.
in general terms.
So does that interpret into a reason why we shouldn't have a police force because any liability concerns or mishaps can be passed along to us in the way of huge tax increases? Doesn't sound like that's likely if the insurance company pays for the bulk of it.
That's why municipalities have insurance. I mean,
Right.
I don't want to go into an in-depth discussion.
No, I
For example,
understand.
there was a period of time in the city of Easton was sued over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Right, I just
I
wanted to,
presume their insurance rates went up.
I just wanted to confirm that. All right, so basically that was it. Citizen patrols, nobody's armed.
Steve, I was thinking, maybe don't say this to you. Out of the people in here, like Matt, Joan, and myself, to have state police, it was something that I thought, okay, we're not being charged, and it's supposed to be protection, and be satisfied, but after years went by and we see the response, which is good sometimes, and sometimes it's not, I really have the feeling that we should have some kind of, every community should have a police force. That's
Well, what I'm saying
why
is-
Harrisburg that wants to charge, because you got too many people.
I'm saying the citizen patrols, and especially when that word gets out, I'm sure the newspapers would cover it, that West Easton has citizen patrols, like a block watch on
Well,
steroids.
that's the.
That we would be able to call the state police instead of just one citizen saying, I see, the guy's knocking on my door, but we have citizen patrols that would enhance and further, the coverage, where state police is, who knows where they are,
That
the donut
was,
shop. I'm
that was
sorry.
the idea of the block watch when it started back.
Block watch by itself is okay, but that's just people sitting watching TV and hearing a noise. Talking about active patrols, guys with a cell phone, you see something doesn't look right, call the state police. Of course, that can be abused, or there can be a lot of wild goose chases kind of thing. But I'm just wanted to throw that out there as an alternative to spending money and all that.
Thank you. Judy.
Has anybody ever considered,
Oh,
Trudy Cartwright, West Easton. Has anybody ever considered going to Williams Township in Glendon and consider to build a regional police force with them? Because they don't have police protection. They do state police like we do.
Yes.
I've been solicitor for the Slate-Belt Regional Police Department, where Winfield, Plainfield, and Penargil all combined. Whenever you do a regional police force, it is a large undertaking. I mean, it's a big undertaking at that point. You're looking at hiring a full-time chief, full-time staff. The expenses of that are significant. I mean, we're looking at, if there's concern here saying, well, this is going to raise our taxes, or it's going to cost too much. A regional police force with full-time capacity, you're looking at 2, 3, 4, a multiple of what you're looking at now. It's a lot of money. I mean, you may think this is a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to what a regional police force would be. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but you need then a lot of people, you need a lot of money, you need a lot of cash resources. I mean, they're spending a significant amount of money, a multiple of $150,000 a year, every year, for the little girls, much less Plainfield Township.
Because I know Williams Township, Shrin does a lot for them. as far as taxes and tax money goes. But little Glendon Borough, they're smaller than we are. I mean, I can't imagine it being that much more expensive. And
Little Glendon Borough also had most police. I believe they might have had Easton police for a while, but then the prices went. You gotta remember, there's only 367 people that live in Glendon.
yeah, I know.
So when the guy said, all you have to do is put a stamp on that 24% stamp on the envelope, mail it to the state police, we'll give you free protection. Well, they don't enforce ordinances, they don't enforce moving violations. How many people see cars racing up and down the street? People in the parks at nighttime screaming, going through stop signs, playing loud music. State police aren't coming down for that.
Because I have a personal concern here about this. Because my granddaughter was the person that was found on Spring Street. And what would happen if something tragic like that happens and you don't have someone to take care of something like that?
Trudy, let me reassure you, when something like that happens, other police departments get involved, and the state police definitely would be involved. They would probably take the lead on it.
Because I'm still fighting with John Morganelli about this. Because it doesn't matter.
Trudy, in a
It doesn't
serious,
matter.
Trudy, in something serious like you described there, our police department would back off and have the state police take over the investigation. Our police department is going to be set up to do that kind of stuff. And one thing I want to point out here that no one's mentioned is, it isn't one day there's going to be a chief, 3 cops, and 2 cars. We're going to start with a chief who's going to work with us for at least 2 or 3 months, building what we need internally before we hire the first officer. This is going to be a slow building process. Don't expect to wake up one day and you're going to see cars driving around. That's not what we're doing here. We're not jumping into this no matter what somebody says. We are not just diving head first. We put a lot of time into checking this out, and we're going to put a lot more time to get it up.
When you went to the casino grants, that's what everybody got for the
Yes,
police.
everybody got for police, and we were looking for sidewalks. And a lot of federal grants open up, state grants open up, but you need that ORI number
Right.
and a police department to get grants for things like cars and equipment and vests and guns and all that stuff that comes with the police department.
Anybody else?
Jim Rock, President West Easton. Go through all the motions, finding out information, but so far it's just talk. If you really have things figured out, let's see. Put it on a sheet of paper, let's see what figures are, let's see what salaries are going to be. Let's see what's come together so far. If we can't see, I feel like you're hiding stuff from us. And
It's on a sheet of paper. And this is a lot of research to do this, and it's not completed, but it's on a sheet of paper. You know, how do you think the West Easton Police Department started out back in 1926? They had 7 people in a Burgess, and they started the police department part-time. So don't make it look like we don't know what we're doing. We're doing a lot of research here. You know how much time people spend trying to find this stuff out for $2.75 a day?
don't put it out there for us to do.
I think you're really asking something fair. Town hall meeting where they can come down, you can explain what you're gonna do and what it's gonna cost them. They ain't asking for much. And I think the residents have the rights, they pay the bills.
For the last year, people had a chance to come down here when this has been discussed. And for you to talk about a town hall meeting on a police department, I don't recall you having one.
Hey, listen,
Hey,
where
hey,
do you
that was
want
us.
you're all
That was
Mr.
us.
No. Turn that camera on yourself.
This is you.
Turn that camera on yourself.
This is you, right?
Right on you.
Right
There, hey, who doesn't want to be?
Is that how
Well,
it
I'll
works?
tell you what, the picture's running dry, and eventually it'll be empty.
How
And then
many
these
people,
poor
how
are
many
gonna
people in
pay.
here came down to the town hall meeting where they raised your taxes 2.2 mils to have a police department? How many people came to a town hall meeting? How many people came when they went out and said they bought cars at an auction and they really did it, buying cars at an auction?
Hey, let's get them straight. You had a tape you took out of here. I asked you to take it. You want to be mayor, right? Dan, you want to be mayor. I asked you to go down and take a polygraph test. Tell you whether you were lying or not. You wouldn't do it. And the ambulance still up.
Do you have another question on the police department?
I would like to see more information on cost and how everything's gonna fall into place.
Why don't we just set a date?
Woody,
and have a
you know what?
when we get-
In between now and the next meeting, I'll go around and get 160 people that want the police department. How does that sound?
Good.
How does everyone feel in this chamber right now if to see a police car go by a couple times a day, a couple times a night, and says West Easton Police on it? Does it make you feel better? Is it a deterrent for people that are running, oh, wait a minute, there's a West Easton police car? How much is that worth? And to be honest with you, a community without a police force is a sad situation.
We're not without coverage, we do have the state police.
We have coverage. How would you like to find somebody in your shed and tell you, hey, buddy, wait a minute, I got the police on the line, they're coming to pick you up and take you to jail, and you sit there for 2 hours and wait. How do you feel?
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
Without going to understand, how big is the crime in the borough?
We have moving violations, we have nuisances, we have ordinances, we have things that are not being enforced. We got bad sidewalks that we're trying to send letters out to people, and they just, you know. Let somebody park a car on your side of the street that says no parking.
Yeah.
And the state police come and say, oh, this car doesn't have a license plate or an inspection sticker, but he's legally parked because he's less than 12 inches away from the curb, and it sits there, and you can't move it. I'll bring a car down and sit in front of your house and see how you like it.
Walk my driveway.
It happened.
Well, I'm saying, I don't want you to see the rest of the borough, it's just so much on Bridge Street. Obviously, other people have a problem with it.
Well, the story I just gave you was a car parked on Ridge Street, there's no parking side of the street. The state police just came down and said, he's legally parked. Anybody else?
Just one last thing, can you put together something, put it in the next sewer trash bill that comes out? To notify every residents aren't aware of what's going on.
We put, you mean about the police department?
Yeah, specifically. A newsletter specifically related to the police department.
A separate newsletter.
Not
It's
necessarily.
a newsletter, it's separate, it's all piece there.
Because it's on the borough website. It's been in newsletters.
You know, I'm computer literate, but I don't visit the borough website, because it's not my interest. So a lot of people aren't checking on West Easton's website to see what's going on. A lot of people don't.
Well, let's put it this way.
But they do get mail. They do receive their sewer and refuse bill in the mail. You just put something in there to let them know what's going on.
That's a good demand. I mean, that we should be able to accommodate, we should be able to just have status updates, right? Why are we arguing about this? Why?
But Joe,
That's in fact, we've done this kind of stuff
Joe,
before.
Nobody has this information.
you collect the trash and sewer bills. People come in all the time. What's the percentage? Do people talk about it?
I've only heard one person that asked about it, and I said, down the line, your taxes may go up, and they said, geez, I hope not, but if they have to. Everybody else said they were willing to pay a little bit, but yeah, they're always asking about it.
And that was just somebody worried about their taxes.
That was just one person who said, we need better.
Out of a lot.
That's a lot. There's like little things, like kids that are getting off the school buses that are being harassed by bullies. If we had cops, we could just happen to have the cops there. You know, you know, how many of you here are here only because somebody told you your taxes are going to go through the roof? Because a lot of you have never been here before.
We're not gonna, taxes are gonna go.
Right. That's what I'm
We
saying.
can't afford it.
Somebody keeps poking the bear, and if you don't come to the meetings, you don't know what the plan is.
Give an opportunity for people to see our treasury report.
But I think we can accommodate, Joan, I think we can accommodate a line or two about this is the next step in the police department.
And if people are complaining about not having information, why don't we?
Well, because, I mean, when you got a borough website, you screw up there so people get information, and I'm sorry, sir, wherever you went. Oh, I'm sorry, right there. At least when they tell you, well, I just didn't go to the website, I mean, do we have to knock on everybody's door? Other people say, I don't read the newsletter, I throw it in the garbage.
I was on the website, and there's not information that he's asking for, that he's interested in
So
seeing.
line item breakdown.
Well, we haven't even gotten to the breakdown yet. I mean, I believe the finance committee is still working on that. But as soon as it's available, can we show it? Because that just raises a bunch of questions if it's wrong.
So I'm going to tell everyone here, just to give you for instance, so Stockton Town pays a part-time police chief $17,000. So I got down here with the finance committee, we're going to pay our chief $18,000. Make you feel better? You feel okay now?
That's part of it, that's what I want to know. What are salaries?
All right, I got a part-time police officer with wages for $35,000. I got insurance, $6,000. Training wages, $1,000.
Let's back up.
Insurance,
Let's back up on
$6,700.
insurance. Last meeting, you said the coverage was only for $1 million, if I'm correct. That's nothing.
Joe, I'll have to check on that, but I don't think it's $1 million.
That's what was stated, but that's what I remember. It's $1 million.
Well, we'll check. When that comes, when the chief comes in, we'll have that all straightened out. I realize $1 million today is nothing for insurance. But you got vehicle repair, vehicle fuel, telephone line, dues and training sessions, postage and internet service, startup costs, uniforms, weapons, badges, computers, copy machines, file cabinets, computer maintenance protection program.
So you have costs for all that?
Yeah.
Well, let's share it. Put it out there.
But
so
they're
people
not,
can see.
but they're not.
It's not definite.
It's all different still.
We're just asking, because we're not.
It's a close and over estimate. And you got to remember, we budgeted $150 for this year. What did we spend, Joe? $1,000-ish?
No, I understand that West Easton is doing well financially because we've not laying out the police coverage for the past few years. But I know we're in good shape now. I'm just concerned about the future.
We have two, we're residents here, we pay the same taxes, so it's definitely our concern.
Some people pay property tax on more than one property. So, you don't think everybody's worried about it? Real quick with that.
Hi. My name is Holly Christian and I live in West Easton. My neighbor a while ago was telling me they had real noisy neighbor having a wild party at night and they called the police. The Easton police came and the Easton police said there was nothing they could do about it because West Easton does not have a noise ordinance there. So, is there a time when you say after midnight, no loud parties?
No,
We have noise ordinance. That was his easy way out of getting out of there.
Yeah, so he just left
Probably
and
realized
not.
he shouldn't have been there.
Okay.
You can come down and get a copy of noise ordinance tomorrow.
All right, and the other thing, building a new garage or something in that vacant lot on Ridge Street. And I said, why would you need to do that? Because you have a garage already on another street around West Easton. It is a residential area. We have houses there. I don't think we need a lot of trucks running in and out. And I had wanted to come down before and mention this to you, but the day I was coming, we had a snowstorm, so it didn't work out. But I just want to know why would it have to be right there?
If a grant is, if we're fortunate enough to get a grant to build a facility like that, it would only be for our 2 little trucks that ride up and down the street already. That's it.
And mainly for storage. We just need to get our vehicles covered from the weather.
You have this thing outside that's sitting out there being, that we needed. And then we were also wanted to stash some salt for the winter, so it would be a little bit cheaper for us.
It's probably better now because MS4 now.
But that, our initial plan was we could buy salt up front when it was cheap, and then we would have, instead of having to buy it in the middle of winter, or even the risk of running out, so.
Thank you.
Those are good questions.
Okay, anybody else? We have no guests, right? Engineer report, none. Mayor's not here. He has a special function that he's going to today that I think is very important myself. Solicitor's report, no. Office report.
Just that the road work on 7th Street is going to supposedly be done August 21st or 22nd, starting Spring Street started, the UGI project, 2nd Street started last Monday, and the mayor, when he was down today, did suggest that we look into getting the guardrail 4th and East to continue it up around the bend.
That's the one with the wooden guardrail that, I don't know if you want to call it guardrail.
And can I have one more thing? It was said that this wasn't put anywhere. It was on Facebook. It had over 300 people view it, and it was on the website, the police ordinance. So if you choose not to go on what we tried to reach, I'm not knocking on your door, no offense. You know what I mean? And they seem to think they can get something in for the next bill, but that won't be for a couple of months yet.
Okay.
But
This is not a big secret. I mean, we've been so open about everything. I mean, all you have to do is walk in that door. You don't have to ring a buzzer anymore either.
No, it's-
All you got to do is walk in the door. You can ask anything you want.
Anybody who's interested, the people have no idea what's going on. They're paying their bills, they're paying their taxes, and they're living their lives. They're not involved.
Of all the tax money that everybody's paying, you see improvements, you see roads being fixed, you see people that have water in their basement on 2nd Street that's being repaired. All the roads are being done, and
I see
I
what's
think,
going on.
and that was within 3 years, last year, this year, next year, all the streets will be done. You're getting a big bang for your dollar, I'm telling you right now. New street lights. The street lights are being replaced. How much does it cost the taxpayers? You know what it costs the taxpayers in downtown? Millions and millions of dollars to replace the street lights so they can have low energy bills. It costs what? $250 to have every street light in this borough changed. It didn't cost the taxpayers 25 cents.
I think the streetlights were a great idea. Kudos on that, but that's about it. I'm not happy with the slurry code. I think that's crap.
Well, you know what, the slurry code was a protection to protect what's underneath it. The next time we do road work, when you have a 7-year plan, it'll be Novichip. Over top of that,
Okay.
because we even had the guy that owns the company come in here and explain it to everybody. He said, you people did a great service to everyone by saving the streets because they were cracking and they were in horrible shape. Now you got to remember, there's a layer on top of the existing street and a layer of stones in that slurry seal. Now that slurry seal is going to crack. But it's protecting what's under the stones and the coating that's on top of the road that's there now. So the process is going to work because after the 3-year plan to get every street from not having potholes and everything,
Okay.
we'll have a Novichip program to fewer streets over 7 years. So we're saving the streets. And you know, and I don't have to say this, you drive through Wilson, or Easton, bump, and washboards, and potholes. You know, run over West Easton and see the difference. You know that.
Just on that matter, when you had that on the agenda, what happened to Spring Street?
To what street?
Spring.
Spring, oh, the gas company's coming through, which
Yeah.
we asked them, I'm taking your question even though it's not public to be heard, just to show you how fair I am. The gas company was gonna do no work on Spring Street, so we had it resurfaced. So then they decide this year that they are gonna do work, so now after they do it, they have to put it back to the way it is before they started the work.
Okay, without cost.
Without cost of the-
There's gonna be a lot more streets done, just to warn y'all.
Yeah,
New guy.
it's all about painting.
All right, moving on. I have one thing I want to say real quick about National Night Out. And I wrote this down so I won't miss anyone. I'd like to thank the following people, organizations, and emergency services for National Night Out. First, the Public Safety Committee, which is Matt, Henry, and myself. We agreed to go forward with our community participation in the National Night Out program. I'd like to thank Joan and Dave in the office for all their help getting the program off the ground and helping with the flyer and the advertisements and the newsletter and the mailing to let everybody know about this. Dane and Hunter helped prepare the lot, set everything up, make sure everything's clean. West Easton Fire Company Social Club donated the sodas, hot dogs, and ice. The Women's Auxiliary did the hot dog rolls. West Easton Mart donated the delicious sheet cake. It was fantastic. Chief Bill Bulgari Jr., the Suburban Rescue Squad, the Pennsylvania State Police for their participation. And there also was a live demonstration for the people that weren't here. Emergencies, the Suburban Rescue Squad was here, the state police were here, and Chief Bulgari was about to have the fire truck back in the lot when they got an emergency call. The lights went on, all first responders, the lights went on, the sirens went on, and I said, oh, I wonder where that is. We probably won't see it for the rest of the night. They drove over to the corner here, and you could stand here and you could watch what happened. Somebody had the heat stroke, and they had it on a stretcher, taken away, and it was right in front of your face, right here. Live demonstration. I planned it that way. Also, the volunteers, Trudy and Dave and Pete, making hot dogs, and Dave again. And I'd like to thank the mayor, and he reminded us again that we haven't had National Night Out for years. And I said we're going to move forward with this no matter what. So I just want to thank the people that came, and I hope you had a good time. And that's the end of my report. Any policies, Joe? Policies or resolutions? Ordinances? Go ahead.
To adopt the most recent international fire code and automatically adopting all future editions.
It's 45.
Ordinance 45. I have a motion to adopt ordinance 45 to pass the International Fire Code.
I'll make the motion.
And a second. Any questions on that? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Round table, anyone have anything to say? Yes.
So for the folks that are against the police department, the person that they were talking to who had the shed broken into was myself. Wednesday night at 10:30 at night, I noticed some of my stuff in my shed was in my front yard, and I went in the backyard and noticed somebody cut my fence and was pulling stuff out of my backyard and then trying to load it in their SUV. I stopped them, they assaulted me, and then they tried to back over me as they fled. All the time, my daughter was on the phone, she called 911, and I said, I'm in distress. Somebody was trying to run me over at this time, and they said, okay, we'll send somebody. And 2 hours later, the state police came. So a lot of you guys are talking about police and police protection, and the state police are doing a great job. So far, my car's been broken into. They called and said, we're not going to make it after 2 hours. Another time my car was broken into, they came by, my window was shot. They came by an hour and a half later, and they said, well, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing I can do for you because nothing was stolen out of your shed, because I caught the guy and I pulled stuff out of the back of his car. So I'm lobbying for police protection. And I'm saying, I didn't want to make it public because I don't want to let everybody know, hey, my yard is open, and come on in and take the stuff out of my yard. All you need is a bolt cutter to open up my shed. Luckily, this idiot was trying to pull my snow blower out of my backyard and trying to load it into his car, but it was just a little bit too big for his car and a little bit too big for him. So he took off on me. So I'm a big fan of at least a part-time police department that would at least help us enforce local ordinances and maybe a little bit quicker response. My daughter and my wife and I, we're all like right there and all witness to this. When this person spat off, he barely missed my wife when he took off. So I'm going to say that the state police are doing a great job. But they're responding from wherever. I did call him after an hour, and he said we are at a call, and we'll be there as soon as we get there. So maybe this little bit of help, this little bit of help might resolve some of these issues and help us out.
Can I ask you a question about that incident? Okay, a 911 call went out. And did a following call go out like 2-3 minutes later saying that the suspect fled off? So it then became a non-emergency?
I don't know.
No one called and said,
My daughter was on the phone with the 911 operator while all this was occurring, and then said the person fled.
The person fled.
Yeah. So.
But, you might have considered that a non-emergency. I think that is piss poor, 2 hours to show up for a call like that. But if you consider it a non-emergency, then...
But I mean, I was assaulted and the person tried to run me over. That's and then they consider that a non-emergency.
No, it's not. If they're aware that the suspect fled, then
nothing they can do.
It's over, yeah, it's over.
Maybe that.
You did make a police report? Did you get the license plate number?
No, it's the hatch was up.
We got the license plate number of a guy that dumped tires on Brendan Hill Road. Guess what happened?
You had a driver's picture of the car, picture of the vehicle, pictures of the driver's license plate. We reported it to the state police, and nothing happened. I mean, short of handing the guy to the state police, I mean, we had cameras in the borough to capture people dumping on London Hill Road. We did that. We gave them the information, and no end result.
Well, before I go on, I mean, I really appreciate the state police that came here for National Night Out. I talked to the commander up there, and he said he'd get back to me, and he actually called back and said, I'm going to schedule a trooper to be there for the full length of your National Night Out. And I can understand that sometimes they're on another call that might be more important to them at the time, and they don't come. I'm not putting the state police down. I'm just saying they don't have the time sometimes to come here. That's all I'm saying.
They're stretched thin too. I was talking, his name was Trooper Mike Irons, the one that came down from the nicest guy. And he told me that there's one car, only one car serving West Easton, Glendon, and all of Williams Township. So that's a large area for one car.
Well, I'm sure they'd be in Williams Township just like that, because there's $1 million houses up there.
You could be right.
You could be right. Let's move on. Finance. You want to have a report or a committee meeting?
Well, we did meet after the last meeting, and we did notice that we only had one line item for the police. So we sat here and we figured out which line items we needed. And we sent that list to the office to have them put in the system the new line items. Now, we did fumble around with the numbers a little bit, which we'll do again. That's where we are right now. As far as we're breaking the police. The numbers are going to come in slow. So we did, okay, yeah, he said we have this, he said we have this. So let's hold it down and get a good number for the budget. This is for the budget. So when the budget does come out, you're gonna have your information. That's what budgets are for, to show the public what's going on. We only did have one number, 150. That's all we have. Now we have more. And that'll be covered in this budget. If you wait till then, we don't have anything else to show you right now. So we're gonna set a meeting up for Tuesday. 22nd at 6:30. We're also going to set another meeting up on the 29th, tentatively, if we don't have another meeting, at 6:30.
Okay.
That's it. Thanks.
Property and highway, nothing to report. Public safety. We had a meeting and there's a report that I handed out to everyone. We talked about costs and reasons why we needed the police force, and the mayor was here. The mayor was here at that meeting. Mayor Rose was here at that meeting. And we went over the reasons why, the cost, possible location for a police station, and we'll set up another meeting for, we have also the 29th at 7:30?
7:30 evening?
Yeah.
I think 28th I start work. Give me a second. Tuesday. Can you make it any earlier?
Well, they're going to be here at 6:30. Want to make it 5:30, but it's too early.
Yeah, 5:30.
All right, 5:30. I'll tell Henry. Legal? Anything?
Good.
Utilities?
I'd like to set a meeting up for August 24th at 6:30 p.m. If that's okay, you can make it.
Recreation? Grants? Bad grants?
Yeah, the grants committee met, we threw around some discussions, what we came up with, if you want to spend the money, if council wants to spend it, we recommend a gazebo in the smaller park where the war memorial is. Hopefully, years down the road, maybe eventually turn that into a adult park, no attraction to kids, just a place to sit and chill. But gazebo is what we came up with.
And that's going to be covered 50/50 grant possible?
Yeah,
Definitely.
that would be part of, yeah, it's an improvement, open space.
And we had a discussion that in the near future, we'd like to change the name that to Veterans Park.
Well, that's down the road, it was just ideas we were throwing in our head, nothing official, nothing I'm ready to bring to full council.
Right.
We have to by next month, right?
Well, for the gazebo, we can go ahead with gazebo, if council wants to approve that. We threw around the ideas of a play park, but Mayor Gross was here for that. He had a valid point. You really want like a fenced enclosure in there, and it kind of doesn't look real good to have chain link or something. So, what was the other thing we were discussing?
Walkways.
Yeah, walkways. Maybe grants for that, because walkways right now we're good on, and walkways will cost far more than we have left. So, we were thinking a small gazebo. Now's a chance to get it at half what it would cost you, because you have a grant to put towards it.
You want the office, or you want to check on different companies that they're already built in different sizes? Good cost?
Sure.
Okay. Next meeting, we can discuss it. Whether the next meeting will be on the 28th or September the 11th, we'll put a notice on the board. May or may not have it on the 28th. Does anybody want to make a commitment that it's going to happen on the 28th for sure? We can leave it up in the air.
We can cancel anytime.
Right.
So just leave it open for now.
Leave it open. All right. Unfinished business? Anybody? New business. Does anybody have a report from the last conference that Mr. Dees and Mr. Lewis?
Well, I don't know if they want to.
Want to start with day one?
You want to start with day one? Sure.
Okay. We started with redistricting and how it could be unconstitutional. Could be unconstitutional for demographic reasons, or segregation, or racial. If we were to put, and this has to do with voting, we're not large enough to do it, but this is what they were talking about. So it could be unconstitutional. If we were going to do it, we have to watch out how. The next thing we did was how handling police officer misconduct or discharge. Now this is one of the things that we have to get our ducks in a row about. How we handle their misconduct. We need policies, standard operating procedures, a whole manual, internal control, internal affairs issues. If we get all this in our establishment, starting from us, going down to the officer, and then coming back up, it's the same thing. Then if the officer does do something wrong, and we show everybody, look, this is what we're doing to prevent him from doing it, it can't come up to us, it stays down there. So that's the handling of this conflict. Challenges in police recruiting. We have veterans preference programs. We have civil rights acts. We have to hire them according to what civil rights is in veterans performance. We need, and I don't know, is our application up to date and legal? Yeah, we'll have to send it to Steve to see. Oh, very good. And that's one of the things, because if we have an outdated one and we send it out, we can be liable for that. We have to have interviewing guidelines. Can't be asking the wrong questions. We need to test these people physically, written, and orally. The right to know. Police records and right to know. Body cams, maybe. We have body cams. We have dash cams. And is this the right to know? We don't know yet. What information can be, and nobody knows. I didn't get any, yes, it is, and no, it's not. So that's something we have to look at. Then comes a liability issue. There's all kinds of statutes out there for liability, for us, for the police officer, for the chief, for the mayor. Because he's the one that is, well, I can't say that he's the head of it, but he's in charge of the police force. Now, if something happens, it could come to the mayor. He could be liable for something, not doing something correct. There has to be a chain of command. It has to. All the way to us. Not that we're going to do anything for the chain of command, except for this is your hours. Mayor, you're going to do this. Unless the mayor doesn't want to, then it falls on the chief. And the chief has to. And it has to come back up to us all the time. We can't be left out of the loop. Nobody else can be left out of the loop. This is the way it has to be run. Again, standard operating procedures. It's a must. This is the stuff that has to happen if we're going to do this. And it was just coincidental. This is the stuff I learned right before this meeting. And then all this information came up, and I said, this is okay. There's all kinds of information out there. We talked about climate control and the ethics involved in doing this. Now, there's industries out there in the United States that put greenhouse gases into the air. It's in the air, it goes all around the globe. It affects everybody in the world, in the United States. Well, it's not affecting us that bad. Yet, the other countries are being affected more. So the ethics, this is This is what we have to think about, not us personally, but the United States. What should we be doing to make sure everybody doesn't get hurt by this? So that was my day one.
Matt?
Day two. Gave everybody handouts. Autonomous vehicles and proposed regulations, which was just a fantasy of PennDOT that they're going to have these autonomous vehicles picking us up our houses and taking us wherever we want to go. And PennDOT wants to be in charge of development of those autonomous vehicles. And I believe I heard her say that in 5 years they hope to see freight trucks, autonomous freight trucks being, it's a little far-fetched. I mean, not that it won't come someday, but I don't think it's going to be, not in my lifetime, certainly. And my recommendation is not to support their proposed legislation to have development and control of autonomous vehicles. Use of force by police. This was, it went over municipality liability. Should an officer be accused of excessive force or unjustified use of deadly force? The presenter explained the difference between individual liability and municipal liability, which is known as Manel. And basically, you need three qualifications for the municipal to be liable: violation of law, of course, the violation of the custom, practice, or policy of the municipality, and the officer's actions cause damage. So if one of those three don't fit, you can't be sued under Manel, which has a higher award allowance, liability towards the borough. Let's see. So he went into what we brought up during the trials, and one of them was social media accounts. So I'm making this recommendation to the council. During the hiring process of a part-time police force, it's my recommendation that the question of whether an officer has social media accounts and the disclosed accounts be reviewed for content by the hiring committee. Because what a police officer puts on his personal social media can be used against him in court or the borough in court. And of course it works the other way too. If the person that's suing has something on social media like, today I want to go out and shoot a pig, that can be used against him as well. He also mentioned there's a de-escalation trend in a national policy, but it's non-mandatory. What they're supposedly trying to see now is, rather than officers running up with their nightsticks or using force of any kind, to try to de-escalate the situation and talk people down. And, the other one we went over was problem-oriented policing. This was another presentation. Basically, if you have a problem in your borough, sometimes it isn't direct police force that will solve it. There's things that can change it. He brought up an example of Gainesville, Florida. We saw a spike in early morning convenience store robberies, and it was determined that the robberies occurred only in the stores with just one employee working at a time when there was no customers present. So local police asked the store owners if they had a second employee during those early morning hours, and most of them did except one national chain, which happened to be 7-Eleven. Gainesville saw a drop in those stores that added the second employee, and to basically have 7-Eleven comply because they were still getting robbed. The council adopted a new ordinance that said these 24-hour convenience stores must have a second employee at these certain hours. It was challenged in court. It was actually upheld by the courts as a safety concern, and they had proof that the governing body of Gainesville had proof that the crime actually went down when they hired a second employee. So there's things that can be done to problem solve what is causing the problem. The kids coming through a town, not necessarily ours, but they come through a town at a certain time on a Friday night and are raising hell and hot and always call for these kids. Maybe they just need busing, and the bus isn't closed. So you might talk to the bus company and say, give me one more run at this time when the roller closes to pick up the kids. That kind of stuff is problem solving, please. I wanted to say, future telecommunication technologies for local governments. This was another waste of West Easton's time. Fantastic stuff. You can now put things on poles, which are new about that can take atmospheric readings and tell you how your atmosphere is in West Easton. They can tell you the pedestrian traffic in West Easton. They can control the traffic lights in West Easton. They can do all this stuff for West Easton, and it's very expensive, and it's something we don't need. It's more focused for cities like Allentown, Scranton, and stuff, but yeah, the technologies there, I already knew about it, but it had very little benefit for this borough. Another one I went to was municipal solicitors changing roles, which just talked about our solicitors, what he's here for, who he represents. He represents the West Easton entity. Borough solicitor does not represent each individual councilors. There's confidentiality agreements between the solicitor. They talk about all this stuff. What happens in executive session, how a person can be, how a council person can actually be removed from executive session. For instance, if they've signed paperwork working against the borough, that's enough to have them omitted from executive session. To say there's a plaintiff out there and you have a councilman helping out that plaintiff, that's enough to have them removed from executive session. That was it. There was one more, but whatever they served me at lunch, I had to go home. So maybe you have that last one, I don't.
That was basically, it was the same lawyer as the morning session, the gray hair. And he basically just touched on everything he went over in the morning session. In fact, who was here for my morning session? Good, I can skip my first half. And basically it was only half an hour, and we talked again about what we need to do to have the police force work for us instead of against us. Standard operating procedures, internal affairs, have everything in a row, make sure everything runs smoothly, and we shouldn't have a problem. That's what it was.
Thank you. Any executive session?
No, we have more business. Travel request.
Oh, travel request. Oh, James, yeah, I can't know.
Just wanted to finish the council. I wanted to go to the just the Saturday session of the PSAB Fall Leadership Conference. I'm asking for the fee and the mileage, total $156.
What's the date of that again?
October 14th.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We can talk about that more in a minute, because we might have several people that want to go to that.
This is due this September the 25th. This is due by or the price of this conference goes up. So.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Well, speaking of travel requests, there was one I put in for this one day.
Yeah, you weren't sure you could go?
No, for the one day I just went to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You weren't sure you could go, but you went.
Right, but I went for the one day, so there's a travel request in there.
Have a motion to pay that?
I'll make the motion to pay that.
All in favor, say aye.
So I get to go and then come back and ask if you okayed it?
Yeah, like you did in the beginning. Yeah, like you did in the
Well, he
beginning.
did say he wanted
But
to
then
go.
we
but
made a
wasn't sure.
policy to ask, and then we say yes, and then you go.
Yes,
So you went and then come back and asked.
yes, just like you did in the beginning.
But then we made a policy to not do that anymore,
Right.
and you broke the policy.
I guess I did. So you're gonna vote no? That's okay, go ahead.
Well, everybody should be voting no because you broke our policy. This is our policy, what you just broke.
Right.
Now, everybody should be saying no.
That's why I'm asking for a vote.
That's all my comment was. We made a policy,
Now-
and you headed the policy. Don't start yelling.
You're the one yelling.
That's because you were going to start.
Oh, we're going to go.
Absolutely. You're going to do it all the time.
You're my leader too.
So that was my comment.
All right, we'll take this into discussion. Do I have a motion to grant him with the expenditure? Do I have a second? Okay, we have a vote. Now
Wait,
discussion.
who was the first and the
Well, the
second?
only thing, we have,
Pete said.
and Pete second. So we're now on discussion. Well, the discussion is, Matt did say he wanted to go, but wasn't sure if he would have the time to go because of commitments. I mean, if he wouldn't have said that, then I can see Mr. Lewis's point. So it seemed to me that it was, I'll go, but I'm not sure. I might have a commitment, and I might not. On that basis, that's the way you should vote on, I think.
So then it should come down to, we should have voted that, yes, you would be allowed to go if he could. If not, then okay.
That's a good idea moving forward, right?
We'll do it.
Yeah, there was no motion made to do that. I suppose I could have done it, Mr. Lewis could have done it. Mr. Lewis is trying to make a point here at my expense, which is fine.
We made a policy.
Because next time he does something wrong, I will bring it up. And I will vote no and not give him any slack.
Right?
So we can do that.
So I think we have to vote.
Well, the point, I'll repeat myself, the point is, if he wouldn't have said nothing at all, and just went, that's one thing. But, people, certain ages, they still work, and they have commitments. So he did say that. So take a voice vote there.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Dees?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Rivera? Mr. Lewis?
No.
Mr. Nolan?
No.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
42.
If this ever comes up again, the same situation, maybe everyone should stress that I'm going to go, but I might not be able to go. And then we'll make a motion and say, if you're out of the commitment, then you can go. So, I don't think one person should be penalized because they did mention that. Any executive session, anything else? New business or old unfinished business? No second. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.